भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
सूत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृताद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जातः दोष्कुल्यमाधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महत्तमानामभिधानयोगः। सूत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जातः दोष्कुल्यमाधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महत्तमानामभिधानयोगः। सूत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभूताद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जातः दोष्कुल्यमाधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महत्तमानामभिधानयोगः। Please recite.
हरे कृष्ण। सुत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवर्त्यापि विलोम जातः दुष्कुल्यमाधिं विदनोति शीघ्रं महत्तमानाम् अभिधानयोगः।
सूत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जाता दौष्कुल्यम् आधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महत्तमानाम् अभिधानयोगः।
सूत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृताद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जाता दौष्कुल्यमाधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महत्तमानाम् अभिधानयोगः।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। सुत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जाता दुष्कुल्यमाधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महात्ममानम् अभिधानयोगः। हरे कृष्ण।
सुत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुभुत्यापि विलोम जाता दौष्कुल्यमाधिं विधुनोति शीघ्रं महात्मानाम् अभिधानयोग। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। श्रुत उवाच अहो वयं जन्म वृत्तोदयः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्तापि विलोम जातः दशकुलमाधिं विदुनोति शीघ्रं महात्मानम् अभिधानयोगः।
हरे कृष्ण। सूत उवाच अहो वयं जन्मभृतोऽद्यः स्मः वृद्धानुवृत्त्यापि विलोम जातः दोष्कुल्यम् आदिम विदुनोति शीघ्रं महात्मानाम् अभिधानयोगः। Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, we will do synonyms. Sutta Uvacha. Sutta Goswami said, Aho, how? Vayam, we. Janma Vrittaha, promoted in birth. Adya, today. Ha, clearly. Asma, have become. Vriddha Anubhritya, by serving those who are advanced in knowledge. Api, although. Below Majataha, born in a mixed caste. Doshkulyam, disqualification of birth. Adim, sufferings. Vidunati, purifies. Sigram, very soon. Mahatamanam, of those who are great. Avidana, conversation. Yogaha, connection. Translation. Sri Sutta Goswami said, O God, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can without delay cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower births. Purport. Sutta Goswami did not take his birth in a Brahmin family. He was born in a family of mixed caste or an uncultured low family. But because of higher association like Sri Sukadeva Goswami and the great rishis of Naimisaranya, certainly the disqualification of inferior birth was washed off. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu followed this principle in pursuance of the Vedic usages. And by his transcendental association, he elevated many low-born or those disqualified by birth or action to the status of devotional service and established them in the position of acharyas or authorities. He clearly stated that any man, whatever he may be, whether a Brahman or Sudra by birth, or a householder, or mendicant in the order of society, if he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he can be accepted as Acharya or Guru, a spiritual master. Sutta Goswami learned the science of Krishna from great rishis and authorities like Sukadeva and Vyasadeva. And he was so qualified that even the sages of Naimisaranya eagerly wanted to hear from him the science of Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So he had the double association of great souls by hearing and preaching. Transcendental science or the science of Krishna has to be learned from the authorities. And when one preaches the science, he becomes still more qualified. So Sutta Goswami had both the advantages, and thus undoubtedly he was completely freed from all disqualifications of low birth and mental agonies. This verse definitely proves that Srila Sukadeva Goswami did not refuse to teach Sutta Goswami about the transcendental science, nor did the sages of Naimisaranya refuse to hear lessons from him because of his inferior birth. This means that thousands of years ago, there was no bar to learning or preaching the transcendental science because of inferior birth. The rigidity of the so-called caste system in Hindu society became prominent within only 100 years or so, when the number of Dvija Bandhus or disqualified men in the families of higher caste increased. Lord Sri Chaitanya revived the original Vedic system and he elevated Thakur Haridas to the position of Namacharya, or the authority in preaching the glories of the holy name of the Lord. Although His Holiness Srila Haridas Thakur was pleased to appear in a family of Mohammedans. Such is the power of pure devotees of the Lord. The Ganges water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified after taking a bath in the waters of the Ganges. But as far as the great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul even by being seen by the low one, and what to speak of association. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending qualified preachers all over the world. And it remains with the Indians to take up this task scientifically and thus do the best kind of humanitarian work. The mental diseases of the present generation are more acute than bodily diseases. It is quite fit and proper to take up the preachings of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world without delay. Mahatmanam Avidhana. No, Mahattamanam Avidhana also means dictionary of great devotees, or a book full of the words of great devotees. Such a dictionary of the words of great devotees and those of the Lord are in the Vedas and allied literatures, specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Sri Sutta Goswami said, "O God, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can without delay cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower birth." I would like to seek blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas for blessing me with today their association, and read from my own purification, and remember this auspicious moment. Today is also the appearance of the great personality, Sri Madhavendra Puri. It's many wonderful days. I was looking in the calendar. It says disappearance of Parameswari Das Thakur, appearance of Sri Radha Ramana, Madhavendra Puri, and Srinivas Acharya. Jai. As it is said, that simply by seeing and remembering the great souls, one can be purified. Today, in this verse, Sutta Goswami, in expressing the words of gratitude, at the same time, he's glorifying the devotional service. The glorification of devotional service is whoever it may be. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that anyone, whoever who understands or knows the science of Krishna, it says that if he is conversant with the science of Krishna, he can be accepted as the Acharya or Guru. One may be householder, a mendicant, Kiva Vipra, Kiva Nyasi, Brahmana or Sudra, doesn't matter. If one is conversant in science of Krishna, he should be accepted as a Guru. There's a saying that one should not see in pure devotees of the Lord in Vaishnavas, we should not be one's caste, one's appearance, how he looks like. These are the offenses. Pure devotees are just like Ganges, water purifies. In fact, this verse itself says that even by conversing with such great souls, one can without delay cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from the lower birth. When we look into the Prabhupada's purport, that it says that Sutta Goswami, Sutta itself is, we can see, Sutta itself is a title for the lower caste. Sutta Goswami, he was not a Brahmin family, he's not born of a Brahmin family. But because of his association with Sukadeva Goswami and the great personalities and the sages of Naimisaranya, he was qualified. So anyone can take up to Krishna consciousness without any restriction. Without any restrictions. But Prabhupada says that this was the culture since time immemorial, and especially in this age as well. But since the last, as he says, 100 years, when Varna Sankaras, no, not Varna, Dvija Bandhus has increased. Dvija Bandhus has increased. Those who are born, they do not study properly, they misrepresent, and so much of contamination that people in general are not aware of what is caste itself. They're misusing the caste system. We have no idea what is this 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. Generally, even Sudra, the caste of Sudra is also had wonderful qualities as described by Prahlad Maharaj in 7th canto. But unfortunately, it has been misrepresented, explained, wrongly explained by so-called people. So there's chaos in the whole society. However, Krishna consciousness is the solution. Prabhupada came and showed with his example, without any kind of discrimination he gave. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world as per the prayers of Narottam Das Thakur. He said that you have appeared for the fallen souls. Mosama Patita Prabhu na pai vyaro. You will not find lower than me. So fallen in the sense that fallen in one's consciousness, fallen in one's activities, whatever it is. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come, papita pijatil harinamo dharila, tarasakhi jagai madhai. So this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness without restriction. Simply by association, oral reception of the great personalities, such as Sukadeva Goswami and his disciplic succession, one's life will change without any doubt. Now, one thing I understand from this is that Sutta Goswami's, gratitude is the mode how we remember. So bhakti, even the bhakti is available freely. I should not think I have the birthright to have it. Rather, it is a privilege. It is a causeless mercy of the Vaishnavas. The causeless mercy of Vaishnavas, the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, that I am receiving whatever I am receiving. So there's a proper mood has to be established all the time while practicing the devotional service. So the power of devotees, Lord Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that the Ganges water is accepted as pure, and one can become purified after taking a bath in the water of the Ganges. But as far as the great devotees of the Lord are concerned, they can purify a degraded soul even by being seen by the low-born. So what to speak of association? It is said that simply by having darshan, the great devotees of the Lord, one can be purified. That's why Narottam Das Thakur always prays for the association of the devotees. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to purify the whole atmosphere of the polluted world by sending qualified preachers all over the world, and it remains with the Indians to take up this task. It's wonderful. This lesson is very important that sometimes we come in a culture of reserved culture, but when we need to carry the mode of our sampradaya, that mode which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada distributed without any discrimination, the topmost mellow of this bhakti is easily available freely, but he's requesting that you all please distribute. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I brought this, I planted this, but I need your help to distribute the fruits of this tree. So today, here they say Mahatamanam Avidhana also means dictionary of great devotees. And within the dictionary of great devotees, today we will discuss Srila Madhavendra Puri. And with your permission, I will try share something about Srila Madhavendra Puri. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can see Madhavendra Puri. The Chaitanya Charitamrita describes the desired tree of bhakti. And that desired tree of bhakti, which we are a part of that desired tree at this moment, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is considered to be the gardener of this tree because he's the main personality who has taken charge of it. So this desired tree, the seed of this tree was first shown in Navadip. Then eventually it was taken to Jagannath Puri, Purushottama Kshetra, and all over the world. However, the seed of that tree is fructified first in Srila Madhavendra Puri. That's where Srila Madhavendra Puri, the Brahma, Madhva, the Gaudiya Sampradaya is sprouted. So we come, the four prominent Sampradayas, we understand. And the Lord is an original propounder of all the Sampradayas. But in each and every Sampradaya, the Lord invests in particular mode of devotion. But especially, there's a wonderful fructification of mode of devotional service. Highest love of God is fructified in the heart of Madhavendra Puri. So from Madhavendra Puri, it went to his disciples Ishwara Puri, and further, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself appeared in this same chain of disciplic succession. Now, what is to talk about Madhavendra Puri? He's been glorified in all these great personalities. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has a wonderful glorification. When Nityananda Prabhu traveled as a mendicant in the first part of his life, before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the congregational chanting, Nityananda Prabhu traveled all over India to the different pilgrimage places. On his pilgrimage, he came in association of Nityananda, Srila Madhavendra Puri. So it is said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu repeatedly remarked that in relishing the mellows of love of devotion, there is no one to compare with Madhavendra Puri. Mellow of devotion. So we have different grades of devotion, different grades of pure devotion, different modes. But ultimately, we understand that the mode which the gopis served Krishna, Krishna was completely felt helpless, because Krishna says that ye yathamam prapadante tams tadu bhajamyam. I always reciprocate with my devotees, whatever way they serve. But when it comes to gopis, Radharani, Krishna fails to reciprocate because he becomes overwhelmed by their love. The mood of love, the genuineness of love, the sacrifice to do anything and everything for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is what is Gopi Bhava. That's why when Krishna wanted to show how much gopis love him, so he manifested this fever, the fever. When Krishna manifested and played this pastime of fever, having fever, and everyone is very much concerned, oh my, what will happen now? All the Brajavasis were very much concerned, what will happen now? I think this happened in, I don't know, I believe this happened in Dwarka, I may be corrected. So when Krishna manifested this pastime of having fever, everyone is concerned what will happen. How to say, Krishna said that if I get the dust of the devotees my devotees, will be purified. So Nad Muni goes everywhere to get the dust of the devotees. Many of the devotees, almost everyone, they refuse. They say, how can we give dust of our feet? Krishna, what is going to happen to us? Am I going to go to hell? It doesn't mean that they didn't have love. They loved Krishna. But still, that love was mixed with different rasas. But when it comes to gopis immediately gave. Why they gave? They did not feel that our dust is superior. In their mood, they understand that let's forget about what happens to us. Let my Lord Krishna, our beloved Krishna, to be very happy. He should be cured. That's the mood of the gopis. So that's why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressing that in relishing the mellows of love and devotion, there's no one to compare with Madhavendra Puri. So Lord Nityananda, when he on his pilgrimage met with Madhavendra Puri, they both, Madhavendra Puri and Lord Nityananda, exchanged this manifested this pure love for Krishna, and both used to see each other and manifest all this ecstatic love in separation from Krishna, at the same time cry, sing and cry and dance and manifest all these ecstatic symptoms. Disciples of Madhavendra Puri, they are seeing what's happening with our spiritual master. We may think, what is this being subject discussed about it? Because generally we saw that pure devotees will never reveal their heart. Their emotions, they will not reveal, will not become an impediment in their service. Just like gopis, gopis did not want their emotions to be an impediment in Lord Krishna's service. Prabhupada also, he always controlled his ecstasies. Generally, these are not shown, and these remain within the heart. But it manifests when equally who can understand in the same mode, they can exchange. Machchita, madgata, prana, bodhayanta, parasparam, kathayanta, samam nityam, tushyanticha, ramanticha. The pure devotees, they share with each other confidentially. So Madhavendra Puri and Lord Nityananda, by reminding each other about Krishna, they're filled with love for Krishna and showing, manifesting all these uncommon ecstatic symptoms. Because the disciples of Madhavendra Puri was wondering what is happening. They could not understand. Day and night, Madhavendra Puri was kind of imbibed the mood, the rasa of Krishna Prema. Thus remained intoxicated, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, sometimes raging, a tumultuous hue and cry. That happens. that happens in advanced form. So I will have a brief, I'll share briefly about the wonderful transcendental pastimes with Gopal, which was took place with Madhavendra Puri. We all know this beautiful form. When Madhavendra Puri was in Brajadham, Gopal came into his dream. He was buried with this dirt. So Gopal came in dream of Madhavendra Puri. He said that I'm buried here. Please take me out. And Madhavendra Puri, actually with the help of Brajavasis, he rescued the deity from there, and he established this temple on top of the Govardhan hill. Now, this all story incident, we know that this was being narrated by Lord Chaitanya to Nityananda Prabhu and the associates while they were traveling to Jagannath Puri in Remuna. The point is, a couple of things we will discuss on this. Madhavendra Puri was sent by Gopal to fetch some sandalwood, because Gopal said, I'm feeling very hot. Now, for Krishna, he's having the transcendental body. Why he would feel hot? He would not feel hot. He wanted to prove the devotion of Madhavendra Puri. What is the mood Madhavendra Puri carries? So he knows that, those days, the provinces of India was governed by Muslims. There will be so much inconvenience traveling and trying to get this sandalwood and camphor. And he knows that Madhavendra Puri will go, irrespective of whatever the trouble he will face, but he will go and serve and keep my words and try to please me. That's what Gopal wanted to prove this world, the mood of Madhavendra Puri. So when he traveled with all these inconveniences, it took a lot of trouble going all the way from Brajadham to Jagannath Puri, not having any money. Simply, Krishna says that, oh, Madhavendra Puri, I'm feeling hot. Get me some sandalwood. Immediately goes. It's not a small thing, especially those days. That's why these wonderful qualities of Madhavendra Puri was glorified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says that Madhavendra Puri used to remain alone. He was completely renounced and always very silent. That's the devotees' mood in their mona. Mona in the sense they chant the Lord's holy name, of course. We are not monis. But within the heart, the pure devotees, they always think of the Lord Krishna and his devotees. He was uninterested in everything material. And for fear of talking about mundane things, he always lived without a companion. And of course, this can be done only in advanced state. Okay, we always need association. Without association, we cannot do. But Sri Madhavendra Puri, yesterday we celebrated Prahlad Maharaj's pastimes also. How Prahlad Maharaj was such a simple, he was feeling, he was keeping himself alone. He was not playing with friends. He remained like quiet. Madhavendra Puri also, always like uninterested in everything material. He won't talk mundane things because people always talk about mundane things. So he always keeping himself separate. But after receiving the transcendental order of Gopal, Madhavendra Puri traveled thousands of miles to collect sandalwood by begging. So we hear all these pastimes again and again, but the mood of Madhavendra Puri is actually being glorified here. Oh, why have to go? Can I find somewhere local? Can I get a substitute? He did not give any excuse. He took all these risks in his life to please Gopal. That's the mood of gopis. That's the mood of gopis. Although Madhavendra Puri was hungry, he would not beg food to eat. That's amazing. So this renounced person carried a load of sandalwood for the sake of Sri Gopal. So my Gopal will be happy, he will be pleased, he will feel cool. He took all these inconveniences without considering his personal comforts. He brought all this camphor, because those time bringing camphor and sandalwood is not, it's a very expensive stuff. It has a lot of risk. So what did he do? Madhavendra Puri was not at all anxious during the long journey to Vrindavan, while proceeding to the provinces of Muslim governments. In a lot of places you have to pay taxes, and he did not have any money actually. It is said that he did not have a farthing with him. He was not afraid to pass the toll officers. His only enjoyment was constantly thinking, and I will carry this sandalwood, my Gopal will enjoy. I'll carry this sandal, my Gopal will enjoy. We see many times, Prabhupada also we can see that. When we talk about Madhavendra Puri, what did Prabhupada did, that he also, without carrying anything, just came to US. Who comes like this? It's like a jumping into fire, or accepting one's own death. You don't know what's going to happen. No money, just 40 rupees, he comes. These are the examples of great souls, especially in this mood, topmost love. So he didn't have any money, but he proceeded to Jagannath Puri. He's crossing all the toll officers, so much of inconveniences, thinking only my Lord will enjoy. And this is the natural result of intense love of Godhead. The devotee does not consider personal inconveniences or impediments. In all circumstances, he wants to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gopal wanted to show how intensely Madhavendra Puri loved Krishna. Therefore, he asked him to go to Nilachal to fetch sandalwood and camphor. Gopal actually wanted to show how his devotees are great. Madhavendra Puri, the devotees glorify Krishna, and Krishna glorifies his devotees. To test the intense love of Madhavendra Puri, the Supreme Personality of Godhead ordered him bring sandalwood from Nilachal. And when Madhavendra Puri passed his examination, the Lord became very merciful to him. Such behavior exhibited in loving service between the devotee and devotee's lovable objects of Krishna. It is not possible for a common man to understand. Common man do not have the capacity. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking. So this way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remembered Madhavendra Puri and glorified him. And who is Madhavendra Puri? Madhavendra Puri comes in disciplic succession, Madhva Sampradaya. But the first time in his heart, the mood of this highest form of love is manifested. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, or we understand Madhavendra Puri is the seed of tree of devotion, a Chaitanya tree. By remembering Madhavendra Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would recite a beautiful verse. This beautiful verse is glorified here, is that Aidina Dayardhanatha hai Mathura Natha Kadava se Hridayam Twad Aloka Kataram Daita Brahmyati Kim Karomi Aham. He says, he does not say, he may be reciting for his own. It is not a public, because devotees do not reveal their heart. He says, "Oh my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of the Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now?" It is said that this verse is considered by Gaudiya Vaishnavas to be the essence of Vipralamba Bhav, expression of mode of separation. is the essence of expression of love or mode of separation. This verse, which is Madhavendra Puri was manifesting in his heart by the will of the Lord. This verse is actually comes from Srimati Radharani, spoken by Srimati Radharani. And by her mercy only was it manifest in the words of Madhavendra Puri. So I'm just going to share, please correct me. This is a great science and I'm not qualified. The mode which we come as Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya was first invested in the heart of Madhavendra Puri. This mode is, the mode of separation, the Vipralamba Bhava, which is very, very intense, very, very intense. And by the mercy of Parampara, by the mercy of Madhavendra Puri, we have the opportunity to relish and to serve in the same mode. We have the opportunity to serve in the same mode. And how? That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cited the example. What is the selfless service Madhavendra Puri has done? So much of inconveniences he took in his old age, just to satisfy Lord Krishna without considering his physical condition, external condition. Only goal is, how to serve Krishna without any condition. So this Krishna conscious movement is a movement of gratitude, and at the same time, it offers the highest expression of love, because we come under the disciplic section of Srila Madhavendra Puri. It is said that this verse, it says, as the Kaustubha Mani is considered the most precious of valuable stones, this verse is similarly considered the best of the poems dealing with the mellows of devotional service. So this is I feel very fortunate to be part of his association. I'm very grateful that I aspire that, one day a little bit of taste for Krishna consciousness will come. At this point, I would like to stop and ask other devotees. But last point, I would like to say that Madhavendra Puri's body is totally imbued with divine love, as are his followers as well. He takes nothing other than the juice of mellows of love of Krishna as its foodstuffs. Thus, his body has become the place of pastimes of Sri Krishna. When devotees are pure, their love, the expression of love for Krishna is unconditional. That becomes a place of pastimes for Lord Krishna. We see Hridaya Chaitanya. Hridaya Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, they both hid themselves in the heart of Hridaya Chaitanya. This is the wonderful pastimes. So today's verse, Sutta Goswami is also feeling very much gratitude. How, even though we are not qualified, I'm born with low caste, but simply by the association of the great souls, Sukadeva Goswami, I've been endowed with opportunity to relish the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So please correct me. I would like to stop here. Thank you so much. I request Senior Vaishnavas and Vaishnavagada Prabhu, Kaivala Prabhu, please, or everyone, please share and correct. Hare Krishna. Madhavendra Puri ki jai. First, I would like to have the, disappearance. Okay, Vishnugada Prabhu corrected me already. It is the disappearance of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Oh, okay. So it is disappearance of all of them. Okay, I thought it's only disappearance of Parameswara Das Thakur. Then it was confusing in the calendar, Vishnugada Prabhu. It says the disappearance of Parameswara Das Thakur. Then it says the appearance of Sri Radharaman, Madhavendra Puri, and Srinivasa Acharya. I don't know if it's Mm.
I got that from the schedule, so maybe it is a mistake. Sure, we'll have to see.
Okay.
The schedule that Mother Shobharati sent out. She
Yes, yes, Prabhu, that is a mistake.
His
Okay.
appearance was in March.
Gotcha. Yes. One thing is, you quoted the verse, or you quoted about Sutta Goswami, that a Vaishnava is not regarded according to his or her birth, right, or caste. And the verse is from Padma Purana. Archye Vishnu Shiladhir Gurushu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi. So jati what does jati mean?
Jati is caste. It's considered as a caste.
Yeah, I looked at it's usually that's the translation, but Srila Prabhupada broadened it. He would say things like whether you're born a Brahmin or if you're from Russia or Africa or South America, or whether you're black or white or Chinese. See, he broadened it so to be like birth.
It's like a race. It's like a race, or the jati is a race.
I'm just saying how he there's different definitions of ethnicity. It's not a very clear idea, but anyway, jati, he broadened it to not just be caste like Brahmin, Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya, like that. So that we might consider, and anybody who thinks in that way, that thinks that a Vaishnav is a European Vaishnav or American Vaishnav or an Indian Vaishnav, thinking in that way, that they're considered a resident of hell.
Mm.
And so there was a devotee from the disciplic succession of Gopal Bhatta Goswami who wrote a book about the American Hare Krishnas. So he would regularly say that the American Hare Krishnas, and I thought that took that as could be an offense, right? Right? But he wasn't criticizing.
Right.
You think about the jati, you're going to discriminate against them according to their jati or their birth or their caste or their country or their ethnicity, then that's a resident of hell.
Mm.
But still, if you can appreciate somebody from these kind of devotees from this place, they do things this service very nicely, just
Right.
like there were the devotees from Kulina Gram that would bring very nice ropes, and the Dayapatis that would carry the deity of Lord Jagannath during the Rath Yatra, prior to the Rath Yatra. So they had strength. So they were, you're discriminating in that sense, but in a positive way, not a negative way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
And then, you could also, I didn't find a case where Prabhupada expanded it to think to the area of if a person considers a Vaishnava according to whether they're man or woman, and not just a devotee, a servant of Krishna, would that be a resident of hell? Do you follow my question?
Yeah.
I wonder what others think.
Yeah, thank you so much, bro.
By the way, where are you sitting? You look like you're in your backyard, but the grass grew very tall.
Just expressing this, showing the spring.
Oh, okay, that's what that is.
So yeah, that's right. Basically, what is condemned is considering Vaishnavas based on their social position, inferior or superior, and Vaishnava is not should not be seen in that level. This Vaishnavas are superior, this Vaishnava inferior based on because jati, based on the background and all this thing, and that has been condemned. Otherwise, to identify, many times it is also mentioned Chaitanya Charitamrita. We also consider ourselves Gaudiya Vaishnava, right? Because there's a different Vaishnavas are there, schools are there, so we are considered Vaishnava, categorized. There's nothing wrong, but criticizing or thinking I'm better than other, So, or somebody's inferior because of his birth, because his past activity, that is condemned. Thank you for bringing this point. Yeah, you please go ahead.
And you were mentioning about Lord Krishna's headache and Lord Gopal Nachi being hot. So did Krishna actually have a headache, or was it just he feigned the headache because he wanted to see his devotees, or did he actually have a headache? You said that Krishna wasn't. You said that Gopal wasn't really hot, but he wanted to show the devotion of or test Madhavendra Puri, was said in the purport, right? So was he actually hot, or was he just saying he was hot? He just, that's the question. Did Krishna actually have a headache, or he just said he had a headache?
You're putting me in trouble by asking this question.
Yeah, I know that.
I will, let others speak on this, but I would like to share something. For Madhavendra Puri, yes, Krishna had headache because his advancement in devotion is like this. I remember, Lord Jagannath, when he performs this pastime, in Snan Yatra, post Snan Yatra, he goes to seclusion because of his sickness, fever. Long time back, I heard, for me, I'm just sharing. I may have faith, I may not have a faith. But it is, Maharaj was explaining, I heard it, that somebody put and made him touch Jagannath, and he was hot. So yes, he can feel hot, and because he's performing this Leela, he can feel hot also. Or he can feel, for the devotees is their mood, they do not want to see any kind of inconveniences for Krishna. They're in that level, like Mother Yashoda, for Krishna, she was always worried about what will happen to my child. But Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can harm him? Yeah, for in looking at that perspective, so Krishna had it. But your question is, Krishna is really suffering from that? I will leave it to and others to speak on this.
I didn't say suffering. I never said suffering. You added the suffering. I didn't say suffering. I just said, did he actually have a headache, or was he actually hot?
That headache part was, as far as I understand, he wanted to just show the glories of the gopis, how great they are. And similarly, this is also to glorify his devotees, to set an example for the followers. He shows the greatness of Madhavendra Puri by putting him into this situation. But then he said, right, oh, okay, there's no difference between me and Gopinath. Go and apply to Gopinath there. So what is others' opinion? Back to your question. I want to hear from others what they say. Charu Prabhu, you want to share something on this, or anyone? This is very advanced subject matter. I know we are meditating on this.
In general, when we try to think of the way we perceive things in the material world, and we try to transpose that onto the way things are in the spiritual world, sometimes we get into these tricky situations. Like time, for example, we know that time is very different in the spiritual world. Here in the material world, time dictates what we do. It's daytime, we can do this. It's nighttime, we can do that. And it continues moving on. In the spiritual world, time is still there in the sense that it serves the pastime. So If the pastime that's happening is, Krishna's there, the gopis are there, they're dancing, then there's a full moon, right? That has to do with time. But it doesn't dictate the pastime. It doesn't make it so, oh, now the sun's coming up, so now we have to stop the pastime. Everything serves the pastime. So the question whether Krishna had a headache or if he felt hot, he certainly could have felt hot, but it's not the same way we feel hot. It's in other words, he had this feeling to have this interaction with this devotee, and so this is how it goes. So that's not necessarily saying that's definitely how it went, but just to show the difference between how we experience things, how things are experienced in the spiritual world. They're still experienced, but only to serve the pastime, to make it more intense, like that. So I wouldn't say necessarily that Krishna was lying. Hey, I'm hot. Can you do this? No, he was feeling the need to have this, service. So, so transcendentally, as you mentioned with the pastime you said of Lord Jagannath, someone touched him, he was actually hot, so Lord Jagannath's feeling the separation, and so he wants to go to Gundicha for, he has his reasons. Some of us know those reasons. And so, so he was feeling hot because of that, but under the guise of, I've the water has made me of here. And now Vishnu Prabhu wants to also.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu.
I didn't want to interrupt Charachandra Prabhu. You're speaking nicely. Are you done or?
Yes, please. I'm finished.
Okay. Yes. So it reflects, I agree with you. It's that, in the material world, there are people who feign illness. Why? Because they want to get attention from others. There's a whole branch of psychology about that. People, it's called the Munchausen syndrome. Anyway, so they feign illness. So we're not saying that Krishna's that way. If Krishna wants to have a headache, if he wants to feel hot, he can do so. He's God. He can do as he likes. But as Charachandra very clearly pointed out, it's his headache and our headaches are different. Everything that's in the spiritual world, we can't have something here without it being present in the spiritual world. But the quality is different. Well pointed out. So then, what this reflects on a lot of things, like when we do an arti, one of the part of the arti is the fan, right? So are we fanning just for show, or are we fanning because we want to make some wind to have Krishna remain cool, or what? Is it just a ritual?
No.
There was I maybe one devotee here can remember, but there was I read a story about a devotee who the fan was on. It was in India, and the fan was on the deities, but then somehow somebody removed the fan and brought it someplace else. And the pujari had this dream. Where's the fan? Krishna came to her in a dream saying, well, what happened to the fan? It was in the hot season of India. So, whatever you make of that. But Krishna somehow wanted that fan. You follow?
Yes. Well, at the beginning of devotion, one has to, because in a neophyte stage, by the bhakti, one will do as a responsibility has been asked. But eventually in advanced stage, one will understand, very carefully consider Krishna's pleasure. So that's why at the beginning, one may not have this understanding that Krishna is, I'm doing this for Krishna, but I'm doing because I was told. But as one matures, one will be very careful. At the beginning, offering food is like inconvenient, for, oh my God, I have to do, I'm already cooking, then again, we have to do extra effort, now do offering. Then as one in a Raganuga stage, one sees everything he does, he says he or she wants to make sure that Krishna is pleased. When I'm fanning, his devotee is very conscious. Is Krishna is, really feeling, am I giving extra fan, or is just, will he have inconvenience because of my fanning? That's what I understand that. It's like a very intimately, because Krishna helps the devotee understand and establishes the relationship. They will understand the heart of the devotee is understood by Krishna, and heart of Krishna is understood by devotees. So I think we are speaking in two different levels of realizations on this subject. That's my thought.
Well, yes, I agree that in the earlier stages, there's not as much understanding or realization that our activities are for pleasing Krishna, but still the basic principle is that that's why I'm doing it, even though we may be ordered to. Still, I'm doing it because I think in this way I want to please Krishna. But as we become more, perhaps make some advancement, we really get into that. How can we, in what way can we please Krishna in very detailed ways? And we want to, if we're making an offering, it's not just by ritual, but we want to make everything as nice as possible, either by, by the preparations we're making, or the decorations we're making, or the garments we're offering. The more we're in that mood, that means we're advancing in Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Thank you. And this is what many times I was contemplating. That is possible when a soul gets an opportunity to associate with such advanced devotee who always thinks, and a fortunate soul who gets the association of such soul under whose guidance he or she learns how to render service. That becomes, expedites one's progress and advancement. Isn't it true?
Yeah. And, and getting back to the fanning, at a certain point, usually it depends on, sometimes in April after Lord Ramchandra's appearance day, then they start to use the fan, but they don't in the West. I don't know what they do in other places, but they don't use the fan during the winter time. How come?
I will tell you what I do. Simple. I'm sorry.
Well, but why don't they use the fan in the winter time?
Because I feel cold, so Krishna also will feel cold.
But that was something that's been instituted. It's not just my whim. I say that, right. It's not just a whim. And we do abhisheks in the temple, right, to the deities, right? And during Lord Nityananda's appearance day, which is usually either late January or early February, it's pretty cold outside. So having a bathing ceremony from that point of view, one could consider, well, is that going to be pleasing or not? Of course, if you're in India and it's hot at that time, it's a different thing, but just considerations one might make. And you could think, oh, he's the Supreme Personality of God, and he doesn't need to be hot or cold, but that's our position to try to serve him the best we can. Madhavendra Puri could have said, what do you mean? You're hot. You're God. You're not hot. How can you be hot? How can you be hot? You're God. You're the source of everything. But he didn't say that.
Yes. In principle, in serving the senior Vaishnavas or the spiritual master who understand, because they're the confidential servitors of the Supreme Lord. In principle, we not serve whimsically, rather follow the authorities who I think that's what we should. Otherwise, in speculation, because everybody is in different mood of service. So different level of understanding and realization. I think in principle, we serve the senior Vaishnavas, our spiritual master, who are confidential servitors according to their level, and they can understand what pleases Krishna most. So thank you for bringing, right? It's not the question of, you mentioned that's not the question of how you feel about it. It's the question of how Krishna feels about it. Well, who will know? His pure devotees will know. So following their instructions, doing it the perfection. Is that right? That's what you're saying?
I'll agree with that.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know what is the time. It's already 9 o'clock. Thank you so much. We will stop it here. Hare Krishna, everyone, have a wonderful day. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare
Asam Devacha Pattanam Pavana